We are beginning chapter 26. Chapter 26 in one word, mi'atzvus. Sadness, being down, is the one word. Let me explain. In a sense, the Alter Rebbe gave us everything we need to know in how to have mastery over ourselves, thought, speech, and action. A Beinoni, complete mastery. We have BITs, Beinoni in training. What is that training process? That training process is that two ways we learned. Till the end of chapter 17, that the mind can influence the heart, whether with a palpable love or a understanding heart, intellectual love, that we sense the presence of God in such a way that it gives us a love and awe for God. Then what we just finished yesterday was on how to find that love and awe, or that connect and not disconnect, not through developing it through our awareness, through our understanding, but through something that we have, that hidden love within us. That hidden love within us that we want to arouse in order to ultimately have that mastery. So the truth is, we've been given everything we need. So what's more? So Alter Rebbe says what's more is life isn't lived in a vacuum. Life isn't lived in a way that you're always on an equal par. You know, sometimes it's a par 3, sometimes it's a par 5. And in order to maintain the love and overcome the obstacles that would not allow us to maintain that love, is what we're going to discuss in the next several chapters. So, life is a struggle. And of course, what we've learned, the struggle, is once you know who you are, like the first 8 chapters were about godly soul versus animal soul. So once you know who you are, then you know where the struggle is as we went into chapter 9. Chapter 9 is a struggle not with my spouse, not with my children, not with the world, not with my boss, not with the world out there, but from within. The struggle is from within, meaning my animal soul versus my godly soul. My animal soul has its own agenda, and my godly soul, of course, has a godly agenda. And that's where the battle wages. So the Alter Rebbe says we need to know something very important in this battle, right? Because that's what we're talking about, having the mastery over thought, speech, and action. And not like the righteous person who has complete mastery. That we're not going to accomplish that, but we can accomplish a mastery, a real mastery over ourselves, over our garments. The garments make the man, or the woman. I don't know why they say garments make the man. I mean, my wife has a lot more clothing than I do that seem to make her. Anyway, that was a joke. In any case, I hope some of you laughed, especially the women who take it in the wrong way. So, for me to have that mastery over the garments of self-expression, I mean, garments come on and off, right? Our thoughts come and go, and our speech also, we can put on the speech and take it off, meaning this kind or that kind of speech, and also our actions, of course. So, we have everything that we need in order to have that mastery, but again, because of obstacles in life, we don't always have the opportunity. So what is the issue in that struggle? Is that if something's going to bring us down, make us sluggish and not be able to fight the daily battle. The daily battle with ourselves, our animal soul, with our lower self versus our higher godly self. The Alter Rebbe gives a beautiful metaphor. A wrestling match. Who wins the wrestling match? The stronger person? The more capable person? Well, not necessarily. Why? Because if that guy on that day is kind of perturbed, right, because of, and has anxiety because of some issues in life, and it's kind of on a downer, very good chance he's going to lose a wrestling match. Why? Because who wins in that match? Not the sluggish, lazy person, but the person who is full of alacrity, swiftness, will overtake that person, even though they might be weaker overall. That is the metaphor. What does that mean for us? Same thing in our lives. That battle, again, is not on the outside, it's on the inside. And for us to be able to win that battle, if we have anxiety, if we have worries, if we're on a downer, and maybe downright kind of sad, right? Which will make us lazy and sluggish, right? What's going to happen? You're going to get a heart of stone, and you're not going to be able to serve God properly. But what do we need to have? And that's where we're going to go with in the next, several chapters, is to have alacrity, swiftness. And where's that come from? Joy, Simcha. An open heart, a responsive heart. How? Because it's unblemished of what? Worry, anxiety, sadness, things that bring us down. It's not there. And therefore, you're full of energy. We all know this. I mean, actually in the very metaphor itself, I do exercise a little bit. And when I wake up in the morning, and sometimes I'm sluggish. I have no exuberance. Oh my gosh, to get to go to the exercise and then, how I do it. Thank God most of the time it's not that way, but it happens. We all see that. That's just a metaphor for everything in life, not just for the exercise. Our day that's before us. Is there an exuberance about it? Is there a joy? Is there a swiftness, alacrity? Why not? God's given you an amazing day to do amazing things. Except we have an anxiety because we have a worry about something. We have a trace of sadness that's in our heart. For good reasons, not good reasons. And that brings us down. So what do we need to have? A heart that is unblemished of any anxiety and any worry. How are we going to get there? That won't be today. That will be in tomorrow's class. But the Alter Rebbe continues. And the concept of sadness. Is there a value to sadness? And sadness here, the Alter Rebbe is speaking about sadness on our situation in life, where we're holding in life. Not sadness that, I didn't get, what I want, right? Sadness or being, anxiety that I'm trying to control something I shouldn't be able to control. But sadness over something I can control, and that's me. That's me. So, before we get into that, the Alter Rebbe quotes, from King Solomon, from Mishlei, Ecclesiastics, or Proverbs rather. Proverbs. He quotes, and he says, in every sadness there will be a profit. Interesting. So he's speaking about sadness. There's a profit from sadness. So the Alter Rebbe says, in other words, sadness in and of itself has no value. It's not an end in itself. It's only a means that will bring you to a profit called, what is that profit? The Alter Rebbe says, true joy in God. So he explains. What does that mean? If you have true sadness over your failings in life, and we're going to get into that again, not today, but we're going to get into that. How do you have the true it's actually in 2 days we're going to get into that. How do you have the proper attitude towards your failings? That'll be in a couple of days, right? Now we're only talking about that it's a means to an end, to a greater joy. And so he explains. Here he explains only the general principle, the details of it to come. If somebody is down on themselves because they've done things that separate themselves from God, that separate themselves from another, right? They're separated from God. So now why should that lead to true joy afterwards? I mean, if you're down on, you did something wrong. You did something wrong. And what kind of sadness will lead to joy then? And there's a wall between you and God because of some things that you need to own and need to deal with. The Zohar comments and says that a broken spirit, a broken heart, will then lead to true joy. In other words, the sadness, proper sadness, and we'll get into that, what that means and how that is how we come to that, will lead us to a broken heart, and that broken heart then will lead us to break the iron wall between us and God. And then that will lead us then to a greater joy, right? Well, greatest. That's the profit. The profit of sadness is that the sadness itself is not profitable or advantageous. In other words, it's nothing in and of itself, but ultimately that it will lead us to a greater joy. Such a greater joy is the quality of joy that comes, like light that comes from darkness. In other words, you appreciate light. Light has a true value when you came from darkness. True joy comes from when you came from the opposite, a sadness over your situation that you are sensing or know that there's a wall between you and Hashem that you have created through things that have separated you from Hashem, and by dealing with it, you come to a greater joy. And you come to a greater joy. Furthermore, the Alter Rebbe concludes today's class, quoting from the verse in Deuteronomy, because you did not serve God with your Lord with joy, right? So simple meaning means because, hey, God gave you things in life and you didn't serve him with joy, with everything that he gave you. So ultimately your enemies are gonna, you'll be haunted by enemies because of that, because you've been given and you didn't serve God with joy. The Arizal says a deeper explanation, says that you didn't serve God with greater joy in the fact of serving God than you had the happiness of the things that you have in your life. In other words, what brought you happiness in life is abundance, rather than serving God with joy. And with that, we need to give a distinction between being happy and joy, which we're going to get into a lot more. But happy is actually interesting. In Hebrew, there's no word for happy. You know why? Jews are miserable people. We like to be miserable. Now we're miserable too, kvetching, Jewish way. What does that mean? Meaning to say, happiness is about getting something in your life that makes you happy. So a Jew can never be happy. There's no translation for the word happy in English. Some people translate osher with an aleph to be happy, but it's not really the translation. Because there's no such thing as getting something in your life and that's going to make you happy. Because if, as the Mishnah says, if you have 200, if you have 100, you want 200. If you have 200, you want 400. It's whatever you have. It's not making you happy because you want more. Because it's abundance, right? So, like, maybe in the moment you're happy, but you're not really happy. Joy, though, is not about attaining something, getting something. Simcha is not, and which is the Hebrew word, is not about, if I get this, I'm going to be happy. No, Simcha is about an attitude. It's not about a mindset. It's about serving God with joy. Why? Because you got something? No. It's happy. It's not the point. It's missing the point entirely. The point is very simple. It's a attitude. It's a disposition. It's a mindset. That's what Simcha is. And we're going to learn a lot more about that concept. How do we attain it? How do we, when, life throws us a curveball and we have physical things that we have to deal with that are challenging. Or we have things about us that are not so pretty. They bring us down. How do we deal with that? All that's coming. But the point over here is when you have a simchadik, joyful disposition, you can wage a battle in life in dealing with your negative side. If we don't have it, then we're going to lose. We're going to lose the daily battle of, dealing with our negative side and defeating in the garments of self-expression of thought, speech, and action. So we need to have, we see that there is a concept of sadness. I don't know, sadness, we translate sadness, but, something that brings us down, but only as a means to an end that will bring us to a greater joy. So there is the idea of dealing with the things in life that we need to deal with. Then ultimately, though, we can serve God with joy. That's today's class. I know now that. Now, I don't know if I can get anybody on over here. So I'm on a computer. I'm here on the computer, and I have no idea. Let's see. But please share. Bhakti says, I know now that sadness is a means to an end that leads to a greater joy. right. Excellent. And I know now that I have to serve Hashem with greater joy in my happiness. David, I know now that I need to work on my inner joy and Simcha to overcome the negative side. Excellent. I wonder, is there a way? If anybody would like to come on? I don't know if I see here pinned. Would that, what would that do? But yeah, comment is pinned. Okay. Does anybody see a way to get on? I'm looking here. Oh, new tip. Event logs, actions. No. Hmm. Okay, I don't see it. Um, you don't have the green button. Okay. All right. I guess it only works on the phone. And something's with my phone today. I'm sorry about that. Michael, I know now Simcha is about a state of mind rather than getting something. Exactly. Very good. Barbara does have a green light, but you don't want to come on. Okay. That's okay. We understand. But why do you have it? And um, no, don't see. All right, folks. Um, to be continued. This is just the beginning of new section. Very actually, this is very much powerful insights into human nature, into psychology, and how these truths don't change. They're very real and something very exciting to implement in our lives. All right, folks. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from Chabad Zich in Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day.